guys, I'm Wes and you're watching Wes and Ghost TV, and today I have another review by request. And this week I'm doing Halloween, the original from 1978, directed by John Carpenter. For starters, I'm going to start out with the music. That iconic score, it just works. It's scary, it goes right from the very beginning. You press play and this music's starting. My next positive is the fact that this movie isn't about Michael Myers. It's not about the boogeyman. This movie is about the girls, babysitters. And it makes the movie much more realistic and actually scary because you're not watching a slasher flick. You're watching a suspenseful horror film. But what was super original in this movie and really well done was the fact that while we were seeing it from the perspective of these babysitters, we also got to follow them and stalk them like we were the boogeyman. We followed Mike around occasionally, and from whether we were over his shoulder or that iconic first 5 minutes where you're just following him around through this house in one long shot. It's amazing. And it gives you the sense that he really is going after these girls. Another thing that I loved about this movie that was not repeated in the remake was the fact that they didn't give a lot of backstory about the boogeyman, about Michael Myers. They didn't explain the whole sister connection or anything like that. Because you feel like you're stalking these girls through his eyes, once it gets to the final act when he actually does start killing people, it actually feels like the build-up has led to something. And one of my favorite parts about this movie is the fact that there really isn't any gore. You see a little bit of blood in the early portions, you see a little bit of blood on a knife, but you don't end up seeing blood dripping everywhere and gushing out. And it's really refreshing to watch from a modern horror fan's perspective because we're basically used to seeing a paper cut looking like a severed arm or something. Like they just get a slight cut and there's blood everywhere. This movie doesn't do that, and there's a great scene later on in the movie where he stabs somebody and he basically sticks him onto a wall and there's no blood, and the way you know he dies is you see his feet, and his feet are like this and they're like this and they fall, and you know, and without seeing anything, you don't see any blood, you know he's dead, and the horror's left to the imagination. It doesn't happen very often anymore, and to see it, even a movie from '78, it's just so nice to see the fact that they don't treat you dumb and have to over-gore out a movie to make it scary. One of my last really big positives about this movie is the fact that the babysitters, the characters who you follow and hear talk to each other, are real people for the most part. They're not just caricatures, generalized people of certain arch stereotypes. It's not like one is super one way and one's super another way. You see Laurie take a hit off the joint. She's not just innocent. She's a three-dimensional character. And my last positive is the ending. It's not very often that a movie can build up and then give you the climax that you wanted, and then afterwards leave you wanting more of this movie, feeling kind of complete, but leading you down the way that a modern movie does it for a franchise. They did it because they knew it was the best ending for this movie. They weren't looking at it like, we need to do this to make the big bucks later on. This movie was made for cheap. They did an outstanding job working with a super small budget and turning it into one of the greatest independent releases of all time. But no movie is perfect, and there were a couple minor things here and there, and I don't want to go into them because some of them would break into spoiler territory, which I try to avoid giving in my reviews. But there's a scene later in the movie where Laurie is screaming for help, and she goes to a neighbor's house. The neighbors turn on the lights. You see a silhouette of somebody in the window, and then they turn off the lights. Now you could say, well, they felt like she was pulling a prank on Halloween. I don't buy it. The way she screamed was real. Any person would open that door. So that is my only real, serious negative. And the fact that that is my only negative, and I had to actually stretch to kind of find something for this review to be a negative, says how outstanding this movie is. Overall, I give this movie a 9 out of 10. I love watching this movie. This movie comes on every single October for me. It's not complete if I don't have my horror fest with some Halloween. And I highly recommend, even though I'm not doing a review for Halloween 1 and 2, I highly recommend if you watch the first one, watch the second one as well, because it picks up right where the first one leaves off, and it really adds to the story. In the end, Halloween was one of the most influential and popular horror movies of all time. It is basically the start of the franchise horror, and thanks to it we got Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street and so many other great horror movies and franchises, and will forever be influencing horror films until the end of horror, I believe. But that's just my opinion, and I want to know yours. If you've seen Halloween, most of you guys probably already have. Put it in the comment section. Let me know what you guys thought about it. Should you watch 1 and 2? What do you think about the Rob Zombie remakes? And while you're down there, click that like button if you like this video, and subscribe to Western Ghost TV. It's right over in this corner. It's real easy. And if you have a movie you want me to review, put it in the comment section as well, and I'll probably review it. I reviewed this one by request. I might do yours. Thanks for watching. My name is Wes, and you're watching Western Ghost TV. Have a great night. Bye.